While synthesizers gave us new sounds, someone still had to program the rhythm section. Enter the Roland TR-808, possibly the greatest failed product success story in music history. Released in 1980, Roland created this drum machine as a budget-friendly option for recording demos without hiring a drummer. But there was just one problem. It sounded nothing like real drums. Professional engineers and session musicians laughed it off. The kick drum was too boomy, the snare too thin, and the hi-hats too artificial. Sales were so disappointing that Roland eventually discontinued it after just a few years, having sold only around 12,000 units. By all conventional metrics, the 808 was a commercial disaster. But sometimes being wrong in just the right way creates magic. The 808's distinctive bass drum, that deep, powerful boom that most drummers hated, caught the attention of early hip-hop producers who weren't looking to recreate a studio drummer sound. They wanted something that would shake the rooms and cut through the radio static. African Bambaataa changed everything with his 1982 track, Planet Rock. He embraced the 808 synthetic quality and cranked that artificial bass drum to create something entirely new. The track became a blueprint, demonstrating how these bad drum sounds could become the foundation for revolutionary music that didn't try to mimic traditional, but instead forged new sonic territory. The 808's boom became the heartbeat of hip-hop and later trap music. Those fake drums found their true purpose in genres that celebrated their artificial nature rather than hiding from it. What's wild is that the very characteristics that made the 808 a failed, its unrealistic sound, is exactly what made it a legend. While this electronic rhythm revolution was happening, another game-changing technology emerged, the sampler. Unlike drum machines that generated sounds electronically, samplers could record snippets of real-world audio and allow musicians to manipulate and repurpose them. Early pioneers used massive, expensive machines like the Fairlight CMI that cost as much as a house, putting this power solely in the hands of established studios and wealthy artists. But the real democratization came from when Roger Lennon designed the MPC 60 for Akai in the late 1980s. This revolutionary device combines sampling technology with a drummer-friendly interface featuring 16 pressure-sensitive pads. Instead of programming notes on a keyboard or drawing them on the grid, producers can now physically play their samples by tapping these pads with their fingers. The MPC represented a massive shift from previous machines. It wasn't just more affordable, it was more intuitive. Its design recognized that making beats was a physical, rhythmic act. You can feel the music as you created it. This tactile approach made production accessible to people who might not have had formal musical training, but had an innate sense of rhythm and creativity. What happened next was nothing short of revolutionary. Suddenly, if you had an 808 or an MPC, you could be a one-person production house. You didn't need access to expensive studio time, session musicians, or traditional music education. A kid in the Bronx with just these tools could create tracks that competed with major label productions. This accessibility completely transformed who could make music. People previously locked out of the industry by financial barriers, lack of connection, or limited access to traditional music could now express themselves musically. The tools that professionals initially rejected as inferior became the foundation for entirely new genres and approaches to music making. The impact was especially profound in hip-hop, where sampling became both a technical method and a cultural practice. Producers could dig through crates of old records, finding forgotten soul breaks or jazz riffs, and breathe new life into them by chopping them and looping them and layering these samples with 808 drums. This practice connected past musical traditions with new form of expressions, creating a rich dialogue between eras. As those crate-digging producers were flipping samples and creating new beats, something revolutionary was happening inside our computers. The recording studio, once a sacred temple that only the chosen few could enter, was about to be completely reimagined in pixels and code. You didn't need $1 million facility anymore, you just needed a laptop. The shift from hardware to software changed everything about music production. Think about it. Those early studios with their massive mixing boards, racks of outboard gears, and walls of expensive equipment represented a serious barrier to entry. If you wanted to make a professional record in the 80s or 90s, you were looking at dropping thousands of dollars per day just to rent studio time. And that's before paying session musicians and engineers and producers. When digital audio workstations first hit the scene in the late 80s, you weren't exactly democratizing force. They later become the early Pro Tools systems, still required specialized hardware and were priced way out of reach for most musicians. These systems were basically just digital versions of the same exclusive club, still only for professional studios with serious budgets. The game really changed in the early 2000s. Computer processing power finally caught up to our musical ambition. Suddenly, a regular home computer could handle tasks that previously recorded custom-built professional systems. This technological leap forward meant that producers could mix dozens of tracks, apply complex effects, and manipulate audio in ways that would have required rooms full of equipment just a few years earlier. This is when we saw programs like FL Studio, which many of you might remember as Fruity Loops, Ableton Live, and Apple's GarageBand, completely flipped the script on who could make professional sounding music. A bedroom producer with a $1,000 laptop now has access to tools that rival multi-million-dollar facilities. The gates were wide open. What made these DAWs so revolutionary wasn't just their affordability, it was how they brought everything together in one place. All those innovations we've been talking about, multi-tracking, synthesis sampling, drum programming, were now integrated into single visual interfaces where you could see your music taking shape in front of you. You could draw in notes, cut and manipulate waveforms, apply effects, and mix your tracks all within one program. The visual nature of DAWs made music production more intuitive. Instead of having to understand the complex signal routing of a physical studio, you could literally see how your audio was flowing. You could drag and drop samples, visually edit performance, and make precise adjustments that would have required specialized training and equipment in the past. The economic impact was huge. Before DAWs, musicians had to work under a constant pressure of studio clock. Every minute cost money, which meant less time for experimentation and creative risks. If you wanted to try something wild, you had to commit to paying for that studio time, whether the idea worked out or not. But with DAWs, that pressure disappeared. A bedroom producer could spend months perfecting a single track without worrying about the studio bills piling up. This freedom from financial constraints led to an explosion of new music. Genres and subgenres multiplied as producers could experiment without consequences. Electronic music in particular flourished in this environment, with new styles emerging seemingly overnight as producers pushed their software to new limits. That quote from the bedroom producer really says it all. With DAWs, I can create a professional quality music from my bedroom without needing a traditional studio setup. This wasn't just about convenience, it represented a fundamental power shift in the music industry. For the first time, the means of professional production were in the hands of everyday people. Statistics back this up too. A significant percentage of professional recordings today are made outside of traditional studios. Think about that chart-topping hit being created in the spare bedrooms, home studios, or even on laptops during long flights or bus rides. This wasn't possible before DAWs. The democratization of music production through DAWs has completely rewired the industry's power dynamics. Labels could no longer control who had access to professional production, and artists could build a following, produce their own high-quality music, and distribute it independently, all without ever stepping foot in a traditional studio.